So we looked at angles and we looked at how to define or measure angles in terms of degrees. Well, we have another way of measuring angles, and that's in terms of radian. Okay, so how do we define a radian measure, and how is it related to degrees? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do before I go into radian measures, I'm going to define something called a central angle. Okay, so an angle whose vertex is the origin and whose sides are radii of a circle is called a central angle. Right, so for example, if this was my coordinate axis, this is x, this is y, okay, let's say I had my circle, okay, and if this was the vertex of my angle, and say this was my initial side and this was my terminal side, okay, you notice that the initial side and the terminal side both are radii of a circle that center is at 0, 0, or the origin. This angle is now called a central angle. So what's radian measure? So the smallest positive angle that intercepts an arc on a circle whose measure is equal to the radius of the circle, or whose length, right, I'm going to say length, is equal to the radius of the circle, is said to have a measure of 1 radian. Okay, so what does this look like? Well, let's say this is my circle, and let's say this is my central angle. Okay, this is my radius r. Now, if I intercept so that this length, right, this curved length is also r, so it is same as my radius, then this angle is said to have measured 1 radian. Okay, if you go around and try to figure out how many radians fit in that 360 degrees, I will see that I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get about, and obviously this is not drawn to scale, but I can get about 6.28 radian if I go all the way around, right? So if I start from here and I rotate all the way around back to my initial position, I get roughly 6.28 radian, okay? Or we call that 2 pi radian. Okay, so as we can see here, 360 degrees, because that's how much degrees we have when we go from, when we start rotating our initial side and the terminal side ends up being in the same position as it started, we get 360 degrees, and that is nothing but 2 pi radian. Okay, now note one thing, that radian has no symbol next to it, so if I write 1, that would mean it's 1 radian. If you want to make sure it's a degree, please put a degree symbol on it. Otherwise, I will think of it as 1 radian.